Hey kiddos, today we're going to be talking about line plots. What you see here is a line plot. This is your title. This tells us what the numbers mean. So sometimes kids get confused. This right here tells us what these numbers mean. So the numbers are number of candy bars. So this is 0 candy bars. This is 8 candy bars. It has absolutely nothing to do with the number of students. The number of students is always represented by an X. So on a line plot, when we're talking about X's, those X's are represented by students. So these X's represent students, meaning that one student had 0 candy bars, or one student had 2 candy bars. If we move down here, what this is saying is that 2 students had 6 candy bars. Here, what this means is that 4 students had 5 candy bars. So, X's represent people or things. The numbers represent whatever is listed here. So in this case, it's the number of candy bars. All right, let's go ahead and read our questions. How many students had 3 candy bars? Well, it said 3 candy bars. We know that these numbers represent candy bars. So I go to the number 3. X's represent people. So how many people had 3 candy bars? 1, 2, 3. 3 people had 3 candy bars. What do X's represent? Well, the X's always represent people or things. Most of the time, though, they are going to represent people. X's represent people. The numbers always represent what's down here. So in our chart today, this represents candy bars. All right, next one. Which number of candy bars was picked the most? This says number of candy bars. Number of candy bars. So what we pick has to be one of these numbers. So which one of these numbers was picked the most? Well, if you said 5, you are correct. 4 students chose 5 candy bars. So that was picked the most. So 5 was picked the most. How many students have 3 or less candy bars? So it says 3 or less candy bars. So I go up here, 3. And then it says or less. That is all of the numbers that are less than 3. So I have to tell how many people pick 3 or less candy bars. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 people had picked 3 or less. And I skipped one, guys. So that was number 5. That's my fault. We're going to jump back up to number 4. How many students were surveyed in all? This is a survey. They were asked how many candy bars did they have. So what would we do to figure out how many kids were surveyed in all? If you said to count the X's, you are exactly right. Remember, each X is a person. So let's count all the X's to find out how many were surveyed in all. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. There were 15 students in all who did this survey. How many students have 5 or more candy bars? So we want to know 5 or more candy bars. If I go up to my chart, I want to know 5 or more. That means 5 or more, all the numbers that are bigger than 5. So now we count the X's. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 students had 5 or more candy bars. How many students have more than 6 candy bars? Now, I want you to notice something. This said 5 or more. This one says more than 6. So we have to look at this differently. This one wants us to count the 5. When you see that word or, that means count the 5. Notice that this one does not say or, so we do not count the 6. This is more than 6. So if I look up here, what numbers are more than 6? Well, if you said 7 and 8, you are correct. So, if it's more than 6, how many kids chose more than 6? That would be 1, 2, 3. 3 children chose more than 6. So notice, if it says or, we count that number. If it doesn't say or, we leave it out. How many students have less than 2 candy bars? Less than 2. So when I go to my chart and I look, what numbers are less than 2? Well, less than 2 is 1 and 0. So, how many chose less than 2? We have 1, 2. 2 children had less than 2. All right, kiddos, now we're going to get out this paper that says heights of tomato plants, and we are going to be making our own line plot from this information. So you will notice that this says heights of tomato plants. That is going to be what we are going to be making our line plant of. And we need to write that in. That is our title, heights of tomato plants. So please write in heights of tomato plants. If you need to pause the video to get caught up, pause it, and when you're ready, press play. So once we have written our title, we can cross it off. Remember, when we are making any type of graph, we need to cross off everything that is in our frequency table. Notice that this says heights. This says heights of plants. It was already done for us, so we do not need to write heights because it says it here. Also notice, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15 are all written here because those are what we are going to be plotting. So you can cross those off. They've already been done for us. Now, this next part is our plants. They will be represented with X's. So please write plants equal an X. What they are saying here is that 6 plants are 11 inches tall. So we have to draw 6 X's at 11. So we will draw 6 X's. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are 6 plants at 11 inches. And cross it off. There are 5 plants that are 12 inches. So we will draw 5 X's to represent 12 inches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 of those plants are 12 inches. And cross off 5. All right. 4 plants are 13 inches. So 4 X's need to be at 13. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we cross it off. 3 plants are 14 inches. So 3 X's at 14. 1, 2, 3. Cross it off. 1 plant is 15 inches. 1 plant, 15 inches. 1 X. Alright, so now we have made our line plot. We have put everything that is on the frequency table down here in the line plot. Now we are ready to answer our questions. It says, how many plants were 14 inches tall? Will you please underline 14 inches tall? We are going to go to the 14. How many plants are 14 inches? 1, 2, 3. 3 plants are 14 inches tall. Well, our next question says, which height were most plants? Please box the word most. Please underline height. We are looking at the height, height is 11, 12, 13, 14, or 15. Remember, the X's are plants. They are not heights. So which height were most plants? Which height had the most plants? Well, if you look here, the one with the most X's is 11. 11 had the most X's. So 11 is the height with the most. So that answer is 11. How many plants were measured in all? Please box the word plants. What represents plants? The numbers or the X's? If you said X's, you are correct. We need to know how many plants there were in all, which means we have to count the X's. So let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. There were 19 plants in all. Now these questions are the ones that are tricky. It says, how many plants were 12 inches or less? So, 12 inches or less. Or is very important, because if I see the word or, that means I have to count the 12. If I don't see the or, that means I do not count the 12. So 12 inches or less. I go up here. I find 12. Will you please box 12? And it says or less. That is all the numbers that are less than 12. So I will count all the plants 12 or less. Plants are X's, so I will count my X's. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. The answer is 11. Our next question says, how many plants were 13 inches or more? Please underline 13 inches or more. So, because of the or, I will count 13. If it doesn't say or, I will not count 13. So let's go up to 13. 13 inches or more. That means that I need to count all the X's at 13, 14, and 15. Let's count those X's. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The answer is 8. The next question says, how many plants were 11 inches tall? I want to know about the plants. Remember, plants are X's. So how many plants were 11 inches tall? 11 inches. So I will go to my 11 and I will count. How many plants are 11 inches? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 plants are 11 inches tall. Alright, let's do one more and then you will do a paper for a grade. Let's look at our line plot. This says height in inches. We have the height in inches, and the students are going to be marked with how tall they are. So 6 students are 52 inches. 7 students are 53 inches. 4 students are 54 inches. 2 students are 55 inches. And 1 student is 56 inches. Remember, everything must be crossed off of our frequency table before we are done. So first we will write our title. Our title says height in inches. Let's write our title. Height in inches. If you need time, please pause the video now and then press play when you are ready. Because we have written our title, please cross it off. Now, height in inches. Look, heights of students. So, height. They already wrote it for us, so please cross it off. Now, look, 52, 53, 54, 55, and 56.
They wrote all of our numbers for us as well. Now we must take these students and put them on the line plot. So 6 students are 52 inches. Remember, students are X's. We will draw X's of our students. So we must draw that 6 students are 52 inches. So 6 students. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 students are 52 inches. Remember, X's represent people. Cross off the 6. So now it says that 7 students are 53 inches. So I will draw 7 X's. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I will cross it off. 4 students are 54 inches. So I will have to draw 4 X's for 54. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 students are 54 inches. 2 students are 55 inches. 1, 2. Cross it off. How many students are 56 inches? 1 student is 56 inches. Alright, cross it off. Now I'm ready to answer my question. Please remember that the numbers at the bottom are heights of students. Please remember that the X's represent the people, or the students. How many students are 54 inches tall? Well, I want to go back to 54, but it's asking me about students. Remember, the students are X's. I want to count the X's at 54. So I go to 54 and count the X's. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 students are 54 inches tall. Which height had the most students? Which height? Now they want to know about the numbers. Height. Which of these heights had the most X's? Was it 52, 53, 54, 55, or 56? The correct answer is 53. 53 had 7 X's. If you thought 52, that one only has 6 X's. So the correct answer is 53. How many students were surveyed in all? Please box the word students. Students means X's. How many X's were in all? How are we going to figure that out? All you have to do is count your X's. So let's count our X's. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. There were 20 students. How many students are 55 inches or more? So, students are X's. We will be counting the X's. 55 inches or more. Because it says or, we count the 55. If it doesn't say or, we do not. So, 55 inches or more, which means we must count the 55 and the 56. So let's count our X's. 1, 2, 3. 3 students are 55 inches or more. How many students are 54 inches or less? 54 inches or less. 4 means you count the 54. Also, students means X's. When they ask about students, people, they are the X's. So we go to 54 inches or less, and we have to count the X's. So let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Alright kiddos, you will do your paper for a grade. Remember to do both sides, and please write all over your paper when you're doing it so that you get the right answer. Bye kiddos.